about Bitcoin, and I want to go over a pattern that has emerged often in the early phase of the halving year. If you guys like the content, make sure you subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up, and check out the sale on Into the Cryptoverse Premium at intothecryptoverse.com. Let's go ahead and jump in. You guys may remember in Q3 of the pre-halving year, we talked about that Bitcoin would likely go below its bull market support band. So remember that here. We speculated, dubiously of course, that Bitcoin would likely fall below it, namely because every prior Q3 of pre-halving years, we have fallen below the bull market support band. And so it seemed like there was a good chance that we would do so again. And we did, you know? And I remember back then, a lot of people really discounted that idea. But again, the same pattern ultimately emerged and we fell below it. Now, there's a similar thing that you could look towards again, and that's in about February of the halving year. We've seen a pattern emerge, and that is that Bitcoin has always been at its bull market support band in February of the halving year. Okay? I'm not saying below it. I'm not saying well above it. I'm saying in February of the halving year, Bitcoin has always tagged the bull market support band. That is this band right here. Now, from the current levels, that would represent a substantial drop, right? About a 15% drop, which isn't that much, all things considered. If you were to actually look at every time Bitcoin had a daily close below the 50-day moving average, just over the last year or so, every time we've had moves below that 50-day SMA, we ended up dropping, 11% there, 12, 13% right there, about 14, 15% there. So yeah, I mean, a 15% drop would get you to the bull market support band. But again, if it takes until February to get there, the bull market support band could be higher. It could be at like 37, or it's already at the 21 week EMA is already at 37K, but it could be even higher, right? It could be like 38K or something. But to sort of show you what I mean, if you were to go back and look at at halving years, you will see that in February of 2020, we found ourselves at the bull market support band. You will also see that in February of 2016, we found ourselves at the bull market support band. And then finally, you will see that in February of 2012, Bitcoin fell to the bull market support band. So this is another case where you have 3 prior instances where Bitcoin had a rally, and then going into February, it dropped to the bull market support band. So it's curious if the same thing will play out again, whether Bitcoin will get that drop to the bull market support band, which is about a 15% drop from the current price. If you give it a couple more weeks, the bull market support band will be slightly higher, and therefore it could be a smaller drop. But I did want to at least point that out. Now note that in the case of 2012 and in the case of 2016, we held it as support. But in the case of 2020, we did not hold it as support. We had the pandemic drop, right? We ended up having a recession where the unemployment rate went up a lot. So remember, if the economy holds up, then we might bounce off of that level. If the economy does not hold up and the Fed has pushed us into a recession, then it might not hold up. You could always have an example where you go back down to it and then bounce, only to then later test it again. Because, a lot of these moves, that's what happens, right? Even in 2016, right? We went up to it, we went down to it in February, and then we bounced in March, and then we're back, testing it throughout all of March and April before moving up in May. So just something to think about. But anyways, I think we'll keep it short today. I just wanted to point out that pattern. We'll see if it plays out again or not. if it does, it would mean Bitcoin falling below where, below this current range and dropping back to the bull market support band sometime in going into February, and seeing it around the 20-week SMA and or 21-week EMA sometime in February. If you guys like the content, make sure you subscribe to the channel, give